I'm Jamie Sarche. I'm the mother of two boys who are both in the public schools in Denver. Both of my children will be at George Washington in the fall. I have a senior and a ninth grader. George Washington is a public school, but it really gets a lot of financial support from the people whose kids are there. Like, I have to buy all of my kids' books, which I'm able to do, and I'm grateful for the fact that I can do that. But I don't really think that that's what should have to happen in public school. That's not what public education should be. And it really has a lot to do with the fact that the state is not supporting public education as it needs to be supported.
I believe education needs to be one of the highest functions of government. And right now in Colorado, education is getting squeezed. There are fewer and fewer dollars for education, both K-12 and higher education. In Colorado, unfortunately, we have TABOR and Gallagher and other constraints on government spending that are enshrined in our Constitution and are very difficult to change.
We're the only state in the nation where you can only raise revenues, taxes, by a vote of the people. If we're going to solve our fiscal policy issues with anything other than just cutting and cutting and cutting, we have to engage not just 100 legislators in the discussion. We have to engage the state's 2.5 million voters. And that's an extraordinary challenge.
We aren't talking about money for new playground equipment. Imagine classrooms where there aren't enough chairs or books, where they have to hold fundraisers for things like dry erase markers or paper. Those are just a few of the thousands of stories that parents shared when they signed a letter asking lawmakers if they knew just how bad it had gotten and if they were okay with it.
Nobody's very interested in fiscal policy. I mean, it's just not sexy. But what I learned when I was on the school board is that the budget is everything. You know, the budget is what reflects your priorities as a district. And it's what reflects your priorities as a state. Opportunity is the goal of the Bell Policy Center. And Bell, when it started out, recognized that fiscal policy was at the heart of making changes in all of the gateways to opportunity.
We have around 25% less purchasing power in the general fund than we did 10 years ago per Coloradan. And that's not just a function of the economic downturn, that's a function of an antiquated revenue system that is bringing in less than it used to in the past because we're becoming more of a service economy, but we don't have sales taxes on services, we have sales taxes on goods. Through constitutional amendment, we've driven down the level of residential property taxes in the state. Those are used to fund public schools. So now that locals, through property taxes, put less into public schools, the state taxpayer is called upon to backfill with ever less money. So we've created a lot of problems. We rely on a gasoline tax to help keep up with our challenges around transportation. That's a tax per gallon. It hasn't changed with inflation. And as cars get more efficient, we're driving more miles on the same amount of gasoline tax, and so the purchasing power of the gasoline tax is now about 40% of what it was just 20 years ago. So across the board, we have a revenue system that is not keeping pace with what is needed.
If you want to live in a nice house, you need to pay what it costs to get that house. And that's true of a state too. We are all dependent on each other, and I would like to see us all invest with that in mind.
We worry about all Coloradans and the opportunities that they face or the challenges that they face and what we might do about that. Funding from the Gill Foundation has been absolutely instrumental in our ability to be an effective actor through the years. People get a good bang for their buck when they invest in the Bell, but the challenges are greater and the opportunities to do more is there if we had the capacity to do it.
We have an incredibly educated adult population, but we're not educating our kids. And it really is a bad thing for our economy because businesses that want to come to Colorado, they need to educate their kids. So they want to go to a state that has a great public education system. And we're not doing that. So we're really hurting ourselves in so many ways.
What's at stake if we fail to address these financial challenges, the fiscal challenges? We're going to be a much diminished state. The quality of life in the state is going to be greatly diminished. The opportunities that young people have and families have in Colorado are going to be greatly diminished. You know, we can only get so far on good looks. We're a very beautiful state, but after a while, that only counts for so much. We need to educate ourselves. We need to be able to stay healthy, and that means doing what previous generations did, which is invest in the future of the state.